everybody. This is our first video for Humanities 115 Critical Thinking. I'm Sandy Oliver. I'm going to be your instructor for this particular section of Humanities 115. Sorry. Getting started with these videos is always kind of interesting because, what do I say out loud? Everything. So, anyway, I'm going to walk through our first day stuff, like our syllabus. I'm going to tell you a few things about the assignments, and then I want to get to it. You do know, of course, that we're using Canvas this year and that we're only teaching, well, most of the college is only teaching 8-week courses at a time. So we are going to be very head down and running, as I like to say. But you can do this. This is very much like taking a summer course, or like what we used to have, taking a summer course. It's 8 weeks, and we do everything I would normally do in a regular class because we have to, right? Just because we're only on the books for 8 weeks doesn't mean we can only do half of what we're supposed to do for the class. So it is a lot of work. I'm not real apologetic about that, but I know you guys have a lot on your plates and you have a lot to do, but this is worth it, in my mind anyway, and anything worth doing is worth doing well. So here we go. As I said, I'm Sandy Oliver, Mrs. Oliver. I'm going to be your instructor for Humanities 115, which is called Critical Thinking. We use a particular book. It looks like this. Now, the one you're going to use is an electronic copy, and it's already embedded in our Canvas class, and so you don't have to worry about where to find it, what to do, if the bookstore has enough, any of that. So you already have access, and we will do most of our work, most of our work, and all the stuff for the tests and everything will come from that book. So don't discount it. There is a few other things I want to talk about, the book and all that kind of stuff. So on the first page, the other thing is I put a link for the syllabus under the Getting Started with Humanities 115 in our Canvas course. It's also there where you can click on syllabus, and it goes through the same things in a slightly different order and in a slightly different format. And so the words that are there are from the regular syllabus, but it's a different way of experiencing the syllabus, and so I think you might enjoy that as well. You can bookmark different places you want to see or ask questions about or whatever, so it's all good. You have my email, skoliver@johnstoncc.edu, and I don't have an office on campus because I'm an adjunct, which really just means I'm a part-time employee, and so I don't get an office, which is okay because I'm here in my office all the time. I am online a lot, doing stuff for school, doing stuff for me, doing stuff for other people, so it's no big deal. Our census date, and I'll get a little bit more about that when we get to the attendance policy and such, but our census date is this coming Thursday, August 20th, and so you don't have a whole lot of time to figure out your schedule, but again, it's 8 weeks. If you took 2 weeks to figure out your schedule, I don't know that you could pass any of your classes. So let's see. If we need to talk, I try to do everything we can by email. Our class is online asynchronous, which means not at the same time. And so you can do your work whenever is convenient for you. I can do my work whenever is convenient for me. Those hours may never overlap. Some folks are very much night owls. I am not. I used to always say I was a morning person, and now I don't think that even applies. You know, that little joke about I think I'm just basically a very tired pigeon. That makes sense too. So the last day for students to withdraw is October 1st. our class ends on October 8th. So it's a week before we end. So you have lots and lots of time to decide whether or not this is going to work for you. And by the time we get to that point, you'll know whether you should drop or not. So give it some time. You know, you have time. So this class, like I said, is critical thinking. We're going to be online all the time. Everything will be assigned from and turned into and graded from Canvas. Now, I will tell you right now, I am not an expert on Canvas. I've only been working with this system for about 10 days at this point. It's not horrible, and it has some features that make it slightly better than Blackboard in some respects. But of course, we like what we're used to. So I think once we get into this a little bit, it'll be fine. It is a little more transparent than Blackboard. It's hard to hide things on Canvas. And so we'll walk through a couple of things when we get to that part of the schedule with the syllabus. So I want you to know that we are all in this together. I will do my best to give you clear instructions and explain things well and all of that. But if it ever falls short and you have questions, please feel free to email me, and I'm more than happy to answer those. We do quite a bit of work in this class, and so, you might have questions. Our first thing on the requirements, I had to move my little syllabus so I can actually see it, is this class doesn't have any prerequisites. I know students find it easier because there's a lot of reading and a lot of writing in this if they've already had English 111, but that's not a requirement. So wherever you are in your English journey, we'll work with it. It'll be fine. Our book is called The Power of Critical Thinking. I showed you that a minute ago. And it's the 8th edition. It is online. Its author is Dr. Lewis Vaughn. I think he is one of the best textbook writers out there for philosophy and humanities and such. He's through Oxford University Press. The good news there, I don't know that it makes much difference with Bibliu, but it's a not-for-profit, and it's a not-for-profit publishing house, which if you look things up, there aren't a lot of those left. So I like them a lot. Okay, so you also need to have you have to have your book, and then there's this list of things that I think would be helpful for you. They've always been helpful for me, so you need to have access, of course, to Canvas, to the internet, to our JCC library resources, etc. Access to a computer or tablet for completing work, and accessing videos, etc. For the course. Paper and writing sticks. A lot of you are probably hands-on learners, and so the way those of us get that in a lecture course is to take notes, draw things up, whatever. Okay, and so your JCC email needs to be checked on a regular basis. I would prefer that you check it before you get started on your work, so that if there's any last minute changes or if there's something going on that you need to know, there it is. Okay. I know a lot of you think email is for old people. Well, yes and no. Email is for official business, because even if somebody basically erases their hard drive, that email's still out there somewhere. You can find it. They can find it. I don't do that kind of stuff. But anyway, there are some things that you will be able to do when you're finished with the class that you might not be able to do right now, although, who am I? Apply critical thinking in analyzing problems, express the importance of diversity of beliefs and values, and a whole bunch of other things that go along with your ethics and worldview. Okay, so that's what we're focusing on. Our course has a few different things that I grade weighted grades, accordingly. We do 2 papers in this class. The first one is called Taking Sides. And basically, I'm giving you 2 articles, and you have to explain to me which one is the better argument. Okay, not necessarily the one you believe or side with emotionally, but which one has a better argument. So, the other one is called the Capstone. It's a series of, there are 10 scenarios. You get to pick one, and then do the research and write the answer, kind of thing. The Capstone is, I don't even know what you call it. It's the part of our course that when they're looking to see how well students do in critical thinking, that's what they're going to look at. Okay, so just so you know. Please know, okay, I'll go on from there. 4 exams. The book is divided into 4 units. I kind of reworked the last 2 a little bit because, so the first 2 are like kind of background and getting us all on the same page with vocabulary and stuff like that. And then chapters 8 and 9 are formal logic chapters, and they're both deductive logic. We're going to look at truth tables and Venn diagrams, and very specific Venn diagrams. And so a lot of our work in that time is going to be practice. How do I do this? There's an argument. What can I do with that? And then we have the last unit, which is all inductive reasoning, things that are probable but not exact, and so, which is kind of daily life, right? So the last bit is the easiest part of the whole class, and it's chapter 10, 11, 12, and 13. So it's 4 chapters long. So is the second unit. So, we kind of balance things out a little bit, but it'll be fine. Homework is 20% of your grade. That is chapter exercises, drafts of papers, discussion boards, anything else that's out there. The reading logs, which I think are the most important thing you can do for preparation, getting your brain on the right page and all that, in preparation for exams. The reading logs are basically your understanding of the chapter or the section. Like when we do chapters 8 and 9, we have sections. We break it down a bit. So I'm going to give you another video here in a little bit called Weekly Work Video, and it's going to walk through what I mean, how I mean, what you want supposed to do. But anyway, the reading logs are your understanding of the reading that you've done. I expect them to be at least a page in some format. I'm not going to be picky about what you put there because it's for you. Whatever you need to help understand the chapter, the pieces that we're doing, that's what you do. Okay. So you can see we don't really use a point system. For determining grades, we use a weighted system. And so some things are 10% by themselves, the papers, each paper, the 4 exams, and then the other 40% is basically homework stuff, so lower stakes, but still important to get things done. So there's also a Canvas column marked total, which is like your current grade. The total is right there. It'll keep track of your overall grade throughout the course. It's correct in as much as you are caught up. If you're not caught up, it's a bit more optimistic than you should be. The way that Canvas does grades is it doesn't count things that don't have a grade. And so if you're behind, those things won't have a grade. And da-da-da. Okay. So it's correct in as much as you're caught up with the assigned work. If you get behind, the grade shown will be a bit more optimistic than you should be. And you can always email me and say, hey, Mrs. Oliver, I'm really confused on what my grade is right now. Could you figure it out for me? And I will do that. Okay. Our grade point is a 10-point grading scale, so you have to have a 90.0 to get an A. Okay, not an 89.5. 90.0. So, do your work with integrity, and you'll do fine. Okay, my thing is I make every effort to get all the grading caught up within a week of their due dates. Okay, now my practice is to spend a bit of time walking through the grades, grading everything that you've turned in since the last time, which is probably yesterday, unless it's Monday, and then it was Saturday. But you can click on any of those grades. Sorry, my brain went bloop, bloop, bloop. When you're reviewing your grades on Canvas, anything that has an underline means that there's feedback there. And so look at those, especially when we get to them. The study guide practice, the exams, the papers. I try to give you enough feedback to encourage you and enough feedback to show you, hey, if you keep along on this particular line, it's not going to go well for you. Okay, so I try to be honest and transparent, and we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Oh yeah, the course workload. So in a normal, well, in the historical version of this class, okay, 16 weeks, I would tell you to spend, you're going to be spending like 4 to 6 hours every week in this class, because all of your work for this class is online. So since we don't have a stated meeting time, those 3 hours are up to you to find space in your life for. And then we do a lot of homework and revising and different things like that, so you get points and such for those as well. But it's going to be 6 to 8 hours. For some people, it might be even a little more than that. It depends upon your reading comprehension and that kind of stuff. But we'll get there. One thing that I have found is that a lot of my students want to, instead of going to the book, instead of reading the book and watching my videos and such, they want to go find quick answers on wherever, Google somewhere. Please don't do that. One, it shortchanges your learning, and two, a lot of the stuff that we're doing in this class is particular to logic and critical thinking. And so if you go looking on the web for how to write that in Venn diagrams especially, you're going to get answers that are going to not be correct, first of all, lead you astray, second of all, and frustrate me to no end. I've spent a lot of time putting up videos for every chapter and the tests and the papers. And so I don't want you to shortchange yourself because you're looking for a shortcut. Okay, so be aware. Not all Venn diagrams are created equal. The other part of, I wish my students wouldn't do this, is using AI. Now, I'm not, a Luddite. Obviously, I teach online. Okay. And I'm not somebody who is afraid of new ideas and new concepts and new ways of doing things. That being said, the research and such that I have done about artificial intelligence tells me that it doesn't have a place in our classroom yet. Okay. And by yet, I mean this class is Humanities 115. It is an introductory course. This is a foundation course for a lot of your work going forward. And so you need to learn the foundations first. If you don't have those in your head, then you can't check AI to see if it's correct. AI makes mistakes. Okay, it's programmed by human beings. We make mistakes. It makes mistakes. But humans can be transparent and apologize when we mess things up. AI cannot. Okay, it's not a person. So I've got a little paragraph, actually 2 paragraphs here about AI. I don't want you to use AI for anything. I remind you on all the major assignments. I remind you occasionally in the different videos and such. But make sure that your learning is yours, that your product, whether it's a homework page or a paper or a test or whatever, that those things are yours and that you can justify them if you need to. Okay? None of that works when you use AI for something. There are a couple of different things about this. This is the kind of ethical concerns. You don't have permission to enter any course content created by your instructor, content from your textbook publisher, or work created by your classmates into an AI language model and or AI software because you don't have their permission to use it. It's not yours, okay? And so when we use something that's not ours, but we put our name on it and turn it in like it is, that's cheating. That's plagiarism. Okay, so just be careful. It'll be fine. I do take late work. We all have other things going on in our lives besides school, and sometimes the other things have to win. I'm not going to, make a big deal about it. If your assignment is late, it'll lose 10% of its value and it's not eligible for extra credit. I don't give extra credit assignments, but I do give extra credit for extra work. Okay. And so if your assignment's late, it's going to lose 10%. I give you a little bit of the math and stuff there. And then you may ask for an extension for any assignment. Now, I don't want to put and say you can have one freebie all semester. I don't want to do that. I want to be sensitive to what's going on in your life, in your family and such. I know that a lot of you also have jobs. You have families, you have jobs. You're super busy. I get it. Okay, but you signed up for classes, or at least this class. So make sure it gets its fair share. Make sure that you're doing the work that you've agreed to, and when your life blows up and you're like, I thought I would have all day tomorrow, and grandma's in the hospital or whatever. So keep that in mind. If you know it's going to be late, say, you're stuck somewhere else. You don't have access to, your computer and internet and all that kind of stuff. You probably, though, have a phone. So send me an email and say, hey, Mrs. Oliver, I need an extension. You don't necessarily have to tell me why, especially if it's something, personal and you don't want that out there. So tell me, I need an extension until Monday, or I need an extension until Friday, or whatever's going to work for you. And 99 times out of 100, I'll say, sure, that's no big deal. And I'll write it in my little book, and there you go. Okay, just don't get behind, and then everything has to have an extension, because that's not going to fly. Sorry. Let's see. The other thing is all work is due within 1 week of its original due date. So if you do end up, your family has a vacation coming up, or, you've got state boards coming up or whatever, make sure that you let me know, hey, I will not be able to turn anything in this particular week. Okay, so do what you can early, and then take the extension for the stuff you couldn't do. Okay, so all work is due within 1 week. Beyond that time limit, I don't usually accept the work for credit. The official languages I will not accept. Occasionally, circumstances warrant a little more grace, and that'll happen. This is all assignments, exams, papers. Pay attention to the due dates, and they're everywhere, and plan your time accordingly. Okay. Now, on Canvas, there are 3 or 4 ways to find your assignments, look at your grades, turn things in, do all that kind of stuff. And so my best advice to you, because like I said, I'm not an expert on Canvas, not even close. Please, there's in the very first module, it's they're getting started and such. And so in that is a Canvas orientation. work through that. You'll need it for all your classes, so, get to know how this thing works to your advantage, okay? In our 8-week classes, we have due dates nearly every day. Some weeks, I think it's about half and half. 4 of the weeks have 4 days, and 4 of the weeks have 5 days. And I will apologize in advance for it feels like you never stop doing homework. And yeah, that's kind of what happens in 8 weeks. So, you don't need to wait for the weekly announcements to get started on that week's assignment. If you need to get your work done on the weekends, work ahead, not behind. Okay, those of you who work full time during the week. You need to make sure you can save your work as either a docx, or a PDF. Those are the only 3 file names I'm going to take. So if you have a Chromebook, it ends in pages. Never been able to open those. Okay. But now it won't even accept them. So if you're trying to turn in a piece of homework and it keeps bouncing, look at your file extension. Make sure it's docx, or PDF. Okay. Let's see. Our communication, like I said, I have made a lot of videos, and so those will be up there and hopefully be helpful for you. You can email me. I can email you. The course will email you with my announcements and things like that. And I'm not sure what that looks like when it hits your email because I haven't done it yet. I can't do it until y'all are actually in classes, which is the 17th. So it's going to be a little while. But anyway, please be kind. Please be respectful. We get along just fine. Okay. In your email, make sure whatever you want to put in your subject line that you have your section number up there. So I don't care. I know you're in Humanities 115. I just don't know which section you're in because currently I have 70 students coming in a week. So I have to run through all those things in my head or go look at my list or whatever. So it helps, and it helps when we're doing things for data and analytics and such to have which section you're from. Okay, so 1A1, 1A2, 1A3, 1A1Y, whatever that last little piece is there. So, and we'll be good. Call me Mrs. Oliver and put your course and section number in the subject line. Make sure you read it out loud before you hit send. That way we catch, where autocorrect or our fat fingers do stuff. I'll respond to emails within the next working day during the week, Monday through Friday, actually Monday through Saturday, and within 48 hours on the weekends. I normally take Sundays off. That's my holy day. Feel free to take your holy day off. Make sure that you let me know if things are going to be falling on a holy day. I know we have lots of holidays coming up here in the next few months. So if you need to be out for any of those, just let me know. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at a couple. Oh, there it is. Okay. Change the format. So talk respectfully, ask questions respectfully. I'm not above being corrected. If I made a mistake, if you find a typo, please let me know by email and say, hey, Ms. Oliver, did you mean to do X? Because that's what's there. And so that's helpful. I try my best, like you, try your best to make sure everything that I put up is correct and timely and all that fun stuff. But occasionally, I'm a good speller. I'm not a great typist, so sometimes the fingers get out of order. Anyway, so you need to talk to me if you encounter difficulties, issues with, family, whatever, illness that may impact your performance. If you need accommodations, make sure that you see Mr. Pomeroy. if you need that information, just shoot me an email and I will be happy to point you in the right direction. So, attendance. Okay. Now, I will tell you, I have taught at how many different? 7 different colleges and universities. None of them had the same attendance policy. But they all had one. Okay, so you have it, but you just got to kind of play around a little bit here. So the attendance policy essentially is turn at least one thing in every day that has a due date this week. Okay, and now there are usually more than one thing in a day. So if you just turn in one thing and move on, you may not pass the class. Just saying. Again, our census date is August 20th, and before the end of the actual day, 11:59 p.m., on, I think it's Thursday, August 20th, you have to have taken the enrollment verification quiz. Okay, and really until you take the EVQ, what we call it, you won't be able to see anything but the introduction stuff. Once you take the EVQ, I'm thinking you can see the first couple of weeks at that point. So, and I have them stagger openings so that, one, I can keep up with you, and two, people don't get stressed about how much is due. Okay, so I open them up so the pieces open up 2 weeks before their due date, and then I don't have closing dates on them yet, but that's coming. So just keep in mind. Okay. After the census, students must demonstrate active attendance by doing these things. So for us, since we are online all the time, you have to turn in an assignment that's due that day on that day to be counted present. Okay. Make sure that you go back then and complete the late work as soon as you can. If things are crazy at your house or in your life right now, you have a little thing, you have a little bit of wiggle room, and you have time to ask me for an extension right now. So it's okay. If you miss more than 15% of the class, which is 6 days, you can be dropped. I can drop you. Okay. Whether you think you're making progress or not, if you're not turning things in, I can drop you. Usually you will have received at least a couple of emails from me prior to me actually dropping you. So check your email, make sure you do stuff. Anytime during the semester that I think, that you get behind, you miss that 7th day, I can drop you. You get a W, which is just a withdrawal. It might impact your financial aid, but it will not impact your grade, your GPA. So that's kind of the compromise there. It says the student must ask permission for reinstatement from the instructor to re-enter class. I will tell you, I've only ever done that maybe 3 times, and none of those students actually passed the class. I know you feel like, well, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Well, isn't that what you were thinking in the beginning? And then, yeah, anyway. So don't miss class. Make sure you turn stuff in. Keep up with the workload. I know it's a lot, but there it is. Jolt is our, basically our face-to-face IT people. They take care of Canvas. They take care of a lot of our professional development and such, but they also are there for students. If you're having trouble getting into Canvas, seeing everything in Canvas, figuring out where things are in Canvas, you can, their number is there. You can also email distancelearning@mail.johnstonccEDU. So you've got a couple of ways you can get a hold of them to say, hey, I don't have a book in my class, or I don't do this. Anyway, they're good. Give them a little bit of grace. They're down to 2 people right now. They had 2 other people get promoted out, and so they're scrambling a bit. They're doing a good job, but they're scrambling a bit. If you have, and I almost touched on this earlier, if you have a religious holiday, solemn observance that is going to require you to be out of classes, it's not such a big deal for us because you can always do your work ahead. Everything's already up there, so you don't have to worry about that. But let me know. Hey, I've got a 3-day retreat here. Okay, great. Get as much done before you leave and then catch up when you get back. It's normally my answer. So we do have a free writing tutorial service, the Jaguar Writing Portal. It's run through the Academic Skills Center, which is over in the Learning Resources Center, which is also known as the library. Okay. They strive for a 48-hour response time, excluding holidays and closings. You can also go to the Academic Skills Center in the library and have somebody look at things. It's best to make an appointment. That way you know when you go over there that you're going to be seen. They have walk-ins, so if you run across something, you're like, oh, I need to find this out. So go do that. Okay, almost done. Yes, the last thing that I have on the syllabus is what we call student concerns. It's also called faculty first. If I do something and you think it's not fair, or I've offended you in some way, please talk to me first. I know this is totally against all the stuff that we do, that our culture does, but talk to me first. Most times you and I can figure out the misunderstanding or whatever, and I'm always up to apologize, make things better. That's kind of life in general, right? If we can't come to an agreement, then we go talk to my dean, who is Elizabeth Baker. If the three of us can't come to a consensus, then we talk to Lisa Cooper, who is our Associate Vice President of Instruction. Okay, so there are those things. You have a couple of links on the Canvas page that are the regulations and expectations. That's where the student code of conduct is, things about academic integrity, they're all there. And then the college resources, they're linked to important resources at JCC, so like TRIO and TRIO, disability support, all the things that are over there in student services. They have those lists too, and of course financial aid and student government and student activities and all kinds of good things. Okay. One thing, okay, so on our Canvas page, if you go to syllabus and you scroll all the way down, you get a list, a clickable list of all the things that are going to be due and what day they're going to be due on. And so there's a little click, I think it's at the top of the syllabus section, that says, take me to today. Kind of an interesting way to put it, but okay. So you click on that and it'll go down to the bottom and land on today's date. So it'll do that for you, and then you can do assignments from there. The modules, and that's how we work everything in Canvas, is through modules. And so I've interpreted that as weeks. Okay, so you have the getting started piece from Jolt and Canvas. You have getting started in Humanities 115, which is my stuff. The first thing in that module is the EVQ, and then I have a click for the syllabus, so you can kind of have those right next to each other. And then there's the handouts for reading logs, discussion board, and homework. And so that's the weekly work stuff. It didn't fit well in another one, so I thought I'd give them up here. That way you have them to begin with. That's also where you found this video. So, and we have a few things, like I said, we have a few things to get done. But the big deal for me is that you figure out, get at least mildly comfortable with Canvas. So do that first. Play with, or take the EVQ. It's not really graded. I think it says it has 3 points because I couldn't figure out how to make the points go away. Yeah, so there are some interesting things on there. Please, please, please make sure on the EVQ that you check the yes box on number 1. That's your, I agree that I'm responsible for my own learning and my own attendance. Okay, if you're not, why are you in college? Just saying. So you're going to go through and do that. We have a lot of things in the modules are prep work. Okay, so like week 1 has, there's a file that has the list for this week, and you can print that, you can save that so you have it somewhere, and you can just check things off as you go. The videos and the handouts are all in that same week. Okay, so you don't have to click outside the week pretty much once you're in there. You have your assignments are underneath, like they are in pretty much any LMS. You have, here's what you're going to do. Oh, here's the places to do it at. So you'll have videos, and you'll have, like, let's see, you'll have the chapter 1 video, and then you'll have chapter 1 exercises and reading log 1. And those are where you actually click on there, do your thing, upload your file, hit send, move. So it's not hard, but there is a lot. So, give yourself some time to figure things out. The discussion boards are 2 parts. So there's a quote. A lot of them come from our critical thinking book. Some of them are my own. Ooh, this would be good for them to write about. And so they're up there. We do 1 a week. And then, so the post is they set it up different. I can't have anything about it. So you go into that particular discussion board, and you'll see the quote. Once you have that in your head, then you can click on reply. It's a big, blue button there. Click on reply, and it'll give you a space to write. Now you can write it in Word and then do that, highlight the whole thing, either triple click or highlight the whole thing, Control C to copy, put it in the frame, Control V. They'll ask if you want to keep the formatting or not. I always keep the formatting. It gives me at least a chance of it looking like I know what I'm doing. And then post. And then that'll always be due on the first day of the week that we're here. So we have a Monday off in September for Labor Day. So they'll be due on Tuesday. But most of the time they're due on Monday. And then the 2 replies to your classmates' posts in that same piece is due by Thursday, 11:59. Okay, whether we have something due on Friday or not, that's due on Thursday. So it's not too bad. If there's something you would like to have, added to the week for, I don't know about summaries. Okay, so I have a video about that. I didn't post it because not everybody's going to need it, but I do have it. And of course, you can go to my YouTube channel. I sound so modern that way, huh? I have a YouTube channel. I have about 200 videos up there. Most of them are, well, they're all for class of some sort. But a good 2/3, maybe even 3/4 of them are for my humanities classes, because I've redone the book a couple times. with videos. Right now we're on The Power of Critical Thinking, Volume 8, or Edition 8. So it says POCT 8. It's in that book. But there are some other ones up there too that you could look at, summarizing, figuring out how to respond to academic articles, that kind of stuff. And I may put those in with the papers. That's the other thing. I couldn't figure out how to make it obvious what you're doing with the paper one, and so I gave it its own module. There's no homework pieces in that. It's just, here's the assignment sheet, here's a couple samples, and then here's the essays for evaluation. So you have all of that in the paper one stuff, so it's not cluttering up the rest of your chapters or modules. And then I also have one for the capstone, down where it goes. And so we're going to do as much as we can this semester, this term, see how we go. I know you're head down and running in your other classes as well, but this is where we are. So this is what we're going to do. Okay, and I know I'm running a little bit long here, so I'm going to shut up. So make sure that you can access your book. Make sure that you know where a few other things are in the class, and get working on the EVQ. Okay? Okay. I think that's about it. Yay, that's about it. So have a great day. Take a deep breath. You can do this. I know you can. It'll be fine. Okay?